Hello lads and lasses, Sanythe here, and I want to cover the easiest way to unlock the Dark Ops Mastery calling card. Now for starters, a Dark Ops calling card is basically a hidden challenge calling card, but not required at all for the default 100% calling card for zombies. However, they do have their own Mastery calling card. Now, there are 19 Dark Ops challenges for zombies, and of those 19, you only need 15 in order to obtain the Mastery calling card, which means that you can skip any 4 of your choice. Now, there are a few calling cards I don't recommend doing if you're just simply going for the 100% calling card for the Dark Ops challenges. Those being Social Distancing, Dark Journey, and Fatale. Social Distancing requires you to get to round 20 without taking any damage at all. Dark Journey requires you to get Nebula on 33 guns. It's not really hard, it's just lengthy, and I'm not sure if you're all going for the camo grind. If you are, then by all means go for it. And Fatale, which isn't really hard to do at all, it's just a little tedious to set up since they patched one of the methods I used to use, and I don't think it's really worth going for unless you're going for every single Dark Ops. Now, the easiest way to get a lot of these done is going to be directed mode and having a save with a ton of points and salvage on it, presumably from like camo grinding or whatever. Now, there are going to be timestamps in the description for each calling card, so let's get into them. Let's start with the easiest, sorta. Well, that was a waste. This one requires you to go down within 10 seconds of using a Perkaholic Gobblegum. This one kinda sucks because it requires you to waste a Perkaholic, but aside from that, obviously it's really easy. You can also do this in co-op with like a teammate using Phoenix Up afterwards, so it doesn't really waste it. Or you could hold off on doing this calling card for a while, since I believe Aftertaste is coming back. This isn't confirmed, this is just speculated based off an image that was shown and it had like Aftertaste in the background. But what Aftertaste used to do was it was a Gobblegum that would let you keep all your perks after being revived. Otherwise, you can just suck it up. Make sure you don't have any major augments for Juggernog, and make sure you do not have Dying Wish on Quick Revive. Now, put Perkaholic into one of the first 3 slots in your Gobblegum pack so you load in with it, and then load into Liberty Falls, go up to the motel door to spawn all the zombies, let them break your armor and get you low HP, then back away and use your Perkaholic, and then as soon as the perks all pop up, run into the horde and let them down you, revive yourself afterwards, and you should have the calling card now. Pretty easy calling card, it just kinda sucks that you have to waste a Perkaholic. Another surprisingly easy one is Light 'em Up. Now this one requires you to get 10 elite kills using the Big Game Augment on Napalm Burst in a single match. Now this is made easy by directed mode. The HVTs during the Liberty Falls Easter egg count as elites. Only problem is that they won't catch fire if you shoot them directly, even with the Big Game Augment, so I'll show you a strategy now. You're obviously going to need the Big Game Augment, but you're also going to need the Incendiary Augment so the fire will spread to zombies, including the elites. Then you need one strong gun that can insta-kill the elite, a triple packed ASG, or a legendary melee weapon that's at least double pack or anything like that would be amazing for this, and a weaker gun with Napalm Burst on it. I recommend a full auto gun because it'll make it easier, and I also recommend having Napalm Burst on both your weapons just in case. Then you need to make sure you get a Mangler from the LTG step. If you don't, save and quit, then keep trying until you do. Once you get a Mangler, then every HVT in that session specifically will be a Mangler. After that, get the HVT near a bunch of zombies and shoot at the zombies near them with your weak Napalm Burst gun until it activates and you see the HVT catch fire. Immediately afterwards, you want to swap to your stronger weapon and instantly kill it while it's on fire. If you're having trouble with it not catching fire, I recommend using a stronger gun or your melee weapon to break off the chest piece of the Mangler before trying to burn it. Now you just have to do this 10 times within that session without saving and quitting, because then that resets the progress as it needs to be a single match. And this doesn't have to be in a row, so if you kill one that's not on fire, it's not like it resets your progress at all. Eventually you should get it done doing this method. It's not all that hard, it takes like maybe 20 minutes. Next up is Strike, which is actually decently easy. You just need to score 300 in the bowling Easter egg minigame on Liberty Falls. Now I recommend you do this in a public match or a match with your friends, because otherwise there just isn't enough zombies, which makes this much harder. Now, all you gotta do is activate the bowling Easter egg, and that's done by shooting these 5 shoes around the map. There's one here in the gas station spawn window, one over near the hardware store and comic store on this shelf through this little corner window, one in this funeral home near the bank on top of the coffin through this window, one in this window near the shed where you get the handbrake, just under the chair to the right. The last one is behind the cemetery hanging from this tree here. Now you can shoot this in any order, so don't really worry about that. Now keep in mind they also won't appear during Vermin Round, so if you're unable to find one during a Vermin Round, that's why. As for the actual bowling aspect, you're going to want to charge the bowling ball until you hear a little sound cue, and your bowling ball should flash a little bit. After that, make sure you're going back and forth between the lanes to make sure you're hitting as many zombies as possible in a single throw. You can throw your bowling ball diagonally, whatever gets you the most hits. If you fail this, you can repeat this Easter egg after about 3 or 5 rounds, and you'll see some bowling shoes appear in the toilet of this window in the bowling alley. Shoot it, and you can activate the Easter egg again. Next, let's talk about the Yo Ho Ho calling card. This requires you to get 20,000 points without taking any damage using the Cursed Relic, and before I get into how to get the Cursed Relic, I want to give you a small strategy. First of all, I recommend using the Wonder Weapon and training up a Horde, and also using Monkey Bombs. You're also going to want to prioritize killing any Manglers, Amalgamations, or Parasites before even trying to kill the Horde of Zombies for the required 20,000 points. You can also use double points Gobblegums to spawn in double point to make it easier, and to just break down how many kills you're going to need without taking damage. Normal non-critical kills will net you about 90 points each. With the Cursed Talisman, you get double points on everything, and that does stack with the actual double points power-ups. So with the Talisman and a double points, you're getting 4 times points, which would be 360 points per kill. 180 with just the Talisman though. Now, 20,000 points divided by 180 points per kill is about 112. 111.1 actually, but round that up and you'll need a minimum of 112 kills. And with a double points power up, it's only about 56 kills needed, and if you manage to crit a few, it could be even less. So let's get into how do you actually get the Talisman, as it's actually a lot easier than you may think. Now to start, I recommend loading into the game with Molotovs or Thermo Grenades. Molotovs are the easier of the two in my opinion, and you're going to need Melee Macchiato. In the tunnel with Speed Cola, you're going to see this wall. Punch the wall and you'll hear a quote indicating you need to grab something. On the map to the right of the corpse behind the wall, there's a little red X on a map. Head to that spot, and in the water, there'll be a glowing watch in the water. A bit redundant saying water twice there, but whatever. Now, return it to the corpse in the wall, and then you'll need to have 3 thermo grenades, Molotovs, or a combination of the two, either way. And you're going to need to find 3 corpses around the map, however, the locations are always the same. These 3 can be done in any order, however, here are those locations. There's one here by this pillar on the ship, here on the uppermost island, and the last one is here on the rightmost island. Now, what you need to do is throw a Molotov or have thermo grenades to ignite the corpse. This is going to spawn an elite Mangler which you have to kill, and once you kill it, it'll drop a cursed coin. You're going to need to bring 3 of these back to the corpse in the Speed Cola tunnel. You can grab 1 coin and return it to him, or you can grab all 3 or multiple of them before returning to them. Either way works, but it feels like you have a bit of a healing delay when you're actually holding the coin. I'm not 100% sure if that's true, but I recommend just picking one up, giving it to him, going to the next one, and so on. Now, after returning all 3 coins to the corpse, he'll give you some loot, and after about 3 rounds pass on the southernmost island, there will be a storm occurring, and you'll find a chest with a cursed talisman on the island. You can now pick it up and work towards the calling card. Good luck. Now, another relatively easy one to talk about is the Good Enough calling card. This one requires you to take off all your augments, buy 0 perks or ammo mods, and reach round 20 using only your starting weapon. You can upgrade your weapon rarity and even pack-a-punch it, but do not add an ammo mod. One thing I'm unclear on is whether free perks or ammo mods from Sand Trials or anything affect this, but I didn't risk it, so I just stuck to only my starter weapon, and it was pretty easy because I focused all my salvage and points into making my gun stronger. You can also still buy armor, and I also recommend staying away from picking up any kill streaks, traps, and just don't use your field upgrade, just in case. I'm not 100% sure if it cancels out the calling card, but yeah, good luck on this, it shouldn't be that much trouble. A similar challenge to this one is Sticks and Stones, which requires you to use only your melee weapon, Melee Macchiato, and combat axes. Now this one's description is a little deceptive because what it means is you can only kill zombies using these 3 things. However, you can still buy Juggernog and other perks like that. Anything that doesn't kill zombies, so stay away from PhD and Elemental Pop. Also, don't add ammo mods to your melee weapon and don't use your field upgrade to kill anything. I used Ether Shroud with the Void Sheath augment, so just don't use any damaging field upgrades. I assume Frenzied Guard would be fine too, but Ether Shroud's personally better for this. Now the strategy I used was to open the bowling alley from spawn and just kind of sit on this counter. On early rounds it's really easy to manage, but on later rounds they'd pile up a lot, so that's when I'd use my combat axes to cleave through them as they climbed up, and then I'd just train them and then chip at them using the combat axes again. When Manglers spawn, I'd use Ether Shroud to focus them if there were multiple of them, same with Abominations, otherwise you can just one-shot Manglers anyways. Now you can craft self-revives in case you get down, and here were the augments I used during my run-through of this. Good luck. This one is known to be a little inconsistent because of how it tracked, but patch notes claim to have fixed it, so it should be fine now, but you know how calling cards are in this game. These next 2 all lump in together. For Liberated, you're going to need to complete the Liberty Falls Easter egg in 30 minutes or less. You're going to basically want to be focusing on getting the jet gun as early as possible, and the best other weapon for doing this little boss fight at the end is the GS45 Pack-a-Punch. The Liberty Falls Easter egg is really comprised of just a few steps. You build the jet gun to get the LTG parts, you place the LTG and fill the canister, you use scanners to release the second canister, and then you fill it at the second storm cloud, and then you take it back to church, and then you're on to boss fight. There are plenty of in-depth guides on this, and I don't really want to lengthen this video any more than it already is. Now, the second one I wanted to talk about is Terminal, which requires you to beat the Terminus boss on around 50 or higher. Misleading description, since it actually requires you to get it done on around 51 or higher. Now, I got every Easter egg set done pretty early on, and just made sure that I saved the last step, being the boss fight, and then I got to around 51 after that in order to initiate the boss fight around 51. Getting through the rounds can be kind of slow, but I kind of just camped in this room across from Juggernog and kept this back door shut. I just used the Pack-a-Punch GS45s, and when the amalgamation spawned in, I would use a mutant injection to clear them out and finish the round. And after reaching round 51, I made sure to have my GS45s maxed out and had a mutant injection on me. The ASG Shotgun and Dual Sogs I've heard are also really good in this boss fight. And the thing is that the mutant injection scales its damage based off of what round you're on. So around 51, it's doing a ton of damage to the boss with the cannon shots. Now, the mutant injection won't guarantee kill it in one go, but it'll do a ton of damage and chunk away at the boss health. Also, if you feel like you weren't prepared for the fight or anything of the sort, you can save and quit and it'll reload you to before you load into the boss fight. And then you can just skip to the next round before you try the boss fight again, because then you can save and quit again in the boss fight if needed. Good luck with these, they're really not too hard, but they can be a little tedious. The last one that I feel requires any sort of guide is Kunoichi. Now, this one requires you to have the Void Sheath Augment on Ether Shroud, and additionally I recommend having the extension on Ether Shroud's duration as the minor augment. Also, Melee Macchiato with the Espresso Augment is great for this because it's a faster melee, so definitely recommend that. Now, you're going to want to get to any round in which at least 2 Manglers spawn in, and have your melee weapon as strong as possible. Once you have the 2 Manglers spawn in a round, if you don't have any elites on that round, you can save and quit, and loading back in should spawn an elite, and just go until you have 2 Manglers. Now, you're going to want to get that elite to low HP, then hoard it near the Manglers, pop your Ether Shroud, make sure to kill the elite first, then the Manglers. You can focus on their arm cannons in order to kill them even faster. It should be like a one-shot kill, and then just kill a few zombies right after. This should reward you with the calling card, and it's actually pretty easy to get done. Now, these next few are actually really easy, so I don't feel like they required a guide at all. The first of which being Invincible, which requires you to reach round 30 without going down. It's pretty easy if you know what you're doing, and if you're managing most of these other calling cards, you're very likely skilled enough to do this easily without really any guide or anything like that. And these next few I feel like can be done really easily in a single match of like directed mode. I know directed mode is a bit overused and spammed for all these things, but it's honestly the easiest way to do most of these. Armed to the Teeth, which requires you to have 2 to 3 pack, legendary or higher rarity on both your weapons, and your melee weapon also being legendary triple pack, and having at least 8 perks. So pretty much just a full maxed out kit. Harbinger of Doom just requires you to get 100 kills using a single score streak. Oddly enough, this one doesn't clarify if it's in a single use or not, but if you get 100 kills using mutant injections in a single match, it should count. Otherwise, I recommend getting to at least round like 35 to 40, if not higher, having the Rampage Inducer on, and then use the mutant injection in the high spawn rate location, such as the bank roof on Liberty Falls, or the little old high ground strat area where all the zombies will pile up near the crafting table just outside of the bowling lane, or even the little room across from Juggernog and Terminus, which I talked about previously. This one shouldn't be that hard to get at all, so yeah. Now, Box Addict, this one is really tedious, and it requires you to get every single gun from the box, including 4 kill streaks and 2 wonder weapons. I believe it only means the base game weapons, which should be 31 guns. I don't believe the melee weapons are in the box yet, or at all. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me on that. But I didn't have to get any of the melee weapons for the box, and this counted for me just fine. I recommend that you stock up on points really easily. You can do this in directed mode. However, in directed mode, I only really got it after I got the jet gun to spawn by building it, and then I didn't collect any LTG parts. I dropped the jet gun on the floor, and I kind of just waited for it to despawn. After that, I started getting it from the box. Otherwise, I felt like I never really got it at all from the box if I had my round cap at like 15 or anything. I kept my round cap at 11, no LTG parts, none of that, and built the jet gun, dropped it on the ground. You can also try using the Wonder Bar Gobblegums, but it feels kind of like a waste to do that, so I wouldn't recommend it. And the last one is Gummed Up, which just requires you to use 25 Gobblegums in a single match. Once again, directed mode is good for this. Make a gun pack with any Gobblegums you really use, especially the whimsical ones, and just pop them whenever you can, and eventually you'll get the 25 uses done pretty easily in a single match. Saving and quitting does reset that from what I know, so you're going to have to do this all in one go. Now, this last one I want to talk about is Another Round, which requires you to get to around 100. For Liberty Falls, if you use the jet gun on the roof along with mutant injections and the GS45's Pack-a-Punch whenever you need, you should be able to go through the rounds pretty easy. There's more in-depth guides, so I recommend looking up one of those. Also, the GS45s and Sigma Rocket on Citadel Daymore are really good, because if you just shoot them in the power spots and then just spam downwards while the trap's active, you have unlimited ammo while inside the power spot traps while they're active, so you're pretty much infinitely killing everything around you. And if you want to speed up some of the rounds once you have a bunch of salvage on Citadel, you can use mutant injections inside the cellar in spawn where you would do the Dark Sword. It's a little riskier since it's really claustrophobic, but it's still very fast. Now there's also a strat I've heard that using the Light Sword and having the reactive armor augment on Juggernog alongside the vampiric extraction augment on Melee Macchiato, which I've heard is slower, but it's also a lower skill ceiling strat, even though I've seen some stuff about it being a little unreliable. But yeah, either way, good luck. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. I can't guarantee that some of these aren't bugged, because I feel like whenever I make a video like this, it ends up that one of the calling cards gets broken in a recent update while they fix other ones, and it's a whole thing. Anyways, like and subscribe. Bye.